And I just start begging for him not to leave me. I know, never will I do that again, ever. That was the one and only time you'll ever see me begging for a man. Okay, you guys, so I was getting ready for bed and I'm just editing my video and I realized I didn't film an intro. Whoopsies! So here's a little quick intro really quick to tell you about what my video is going to be about today. As you can see by the title, it is about karma. There's no ill will against anybody in my story time that I am about to tell you. I did not wish anything bad upon anybody in my story time, and that's just how karma works. You just keep your own good energy and you protect your energy, and the universe will always work it out for you no matter what, and they will always have your back. And if you are a mean person, you have it bad towards someone else, like the universe will read that energy. It's going to come back to you in a way that you're not going to like. So without further ado, this is the time where karma had my back and I didn't have to do anything but be me. Okay, so for my first story, I'm going to be talking about my very first heartbreak. Yes, my very first relationship that I had. And, this is going to be a story. Okay, I'm going to start off by moisturizing my face because, she's a little dry. So, this story begins in my high school. I was about 15 or 16 years old when I had my very first boyfriend. Of course, we all remember how our first relationships went because we were head over heels, puppy love, like, oh, it's my first boyfriend, like, oh my god, he held my hand, he kissed me, blah 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 blah, right? Just, I've never had a boyfriend before. I've talked to guys, I've had crushes, but I've never actually built a relationship with a guy before, and this was the first time. I think I was in my junior year of high school, going into my senior year. We were together for about a year. Yeah, he was a year older than me. He was kind of one of those guys. He was kind of a jock. He was really, really into football, really, really into sports, really loved to watch like baseball games, football games. He played water polo. He was on the swim team. Your typical guy. And I wouldn't say he was necessarily popular. He definitely had a way with the ladies at the time. I know there were a lot of other girls who were very interested in him, and he was just kind of talking and here and there to all these girls before he eventually just started dating just me. How? I don't know. Why? I have no idea. Especially me being the little immature, inexperienced girl that I was. I don't know. He did take a liking to that. So after a year of us dating, we started to kind of get closer. I was getting more and more attached to him. I would come over his house. He would come over mine. He's the first guy I ever introduced to my family. It was a big deal. He kept telling me all these things, trying to make me feel good, but there were just red flags that I was obviously too young to see and too young to ignore, such as I think I heard stuff from other girls talking about him, how he was flirting with them or flirting with specific girls. He would honestly break up with me all the time. One day, I thought I would think we're good, and he would just break up with me and be like, this isn't working. And then go and talk to some other girl right in front of me. And then a few days later, beg for me back and be like, you know what? I actually want you back. And that happened maybe 4 or 5 times within our relationship. I know, what a freaking loser, bro. And I'm even more of a loser for always taking him back, which I don't even know how I did that, but supposedly I did. I do not recommend at all. After all of that situation, I found out that he was just flirting with other girls, especially while we were together. I actually had a friend at the time who was so into him and crushing on him. We were friends, but it was a weird dynamic because she knew I was dating him, but she always had a crush on him. We didn't become friends until after he and I started dating, so it's not like I was breaking girl code because I didn't really talk to her until after, because she was on the swim team with him and on the water polo team and all of that. I just knew something was just off, but of course, me being a little high school girl ignored all the red flags. So my first karma story is kind of like a mix of both of these, both for him and her. I remember it was around prom time. Prom time was coming up, and I guess I had some friends who saw me and they were like, hey, like, we need to speak to you. We found something in the classroom that you might want to see. And I was just like, okay. I think this is one of the times where my ex, or my boyfriend at the time, had broken up with me randomly again because he decided he didn't want to be in a relationship. It was one of those times he randomly broke up with me. And I had some friends who showed me a notebook, and they brought it to me and they were like, hey, we found this notebook in Mr. So-and-so's class and we know who it belongs to. We saw her. We're going to name her, friend of mine, we're going to name her Sally. So we're like, we saw Sally. And oh yeah, by the way, I saw this trend on TikTok and I'm literally obsessed, and I do it every single time I do my makeup. I know. It looks crazy, but it looks really good when you blend it out. So Sally, I guess, was writing notes back and forth in her class. It said in the notebook, I saw all the notes. It was like Quinn and, we gotta give him a name. Quinn and, I'm going to call him a beluga, because he's just a beluga. Quinn and Beluga broke up. Like, this is great. Now I get to go to prom with him, and I'm going to try to like seduce him into taking me to prom with him, and just all of this, just saying all of this stuff. And mind you, we were cool, but we had become pretty close, and I kind of would just like ignore the red flags of her always constantly flirting with him. I don't know, just saying things that no friend should be saying about another girl's man. I would always just sweep it under the rug. I was a non-confrontational person. Like, I just did not like to have drama at all. When something like that happened, I would always just let it be. So after this, I, broke down crying. The little emotional queen I am, I started crying at what I had seen. I just felt so betrayed. I felt so hurt. She was gonna try to get him to go to prom with her, which was just like, how messed up, because I had just lost my prom date right before prom. So after the day kept going forward, I was just sad about it. I ended up texting her right away, like, hey, can we speak? And also, my friends had my back. The way they ran to me real quick when they saw this notebook was just so sweet of them, and I could not thank that enough for having such good friends in high school, like, who always had my back continuously. So I texted her, I was like, hey, is it okay if we speak at lunch? Like, I really need to talk to you. And she's like, why? Oh, and then she texted me back and she was like, why is everyone going off on me? Like, everyone's saying things about me, giving me like the death stare, and they said it was because of you and blah 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 blah. And I was just like, I didn't say anything. I didn't tell anybody to say anything. I was like, that's all you. I was like, we'll talk at lunch. And so I went to her at lunch. She was pissed at me. I didn't do anything. I had just found out about this notebook. I didn't even know about it. I had recently, just a couple hours prior, just heard about it. I was crying because I was hurt because I thought she was my friend. Yeah, that didn't happen. So she's over here coming at me for something that she did. Not knowing why everyone was being so rude to her and so mean to her. People were being so mean to her, you guys. I didn't ask anybody to be mean to her. I did not. And I think they were just like sad to see me hurt, because I was just like I said, I was a very non-confrontational person, and they knew I wasn't going to be able to stand up for myself in that moment. So I think people took the liberty to do that for me, which was so sweet of them. I mean, I didn't want them to bully her or anything like that, but I just thought that they had my back. When I had talked to her, I was like, look, I'm not going to say a lot. I don't have anything really much to say to you, but this is yours. And I hand back the notebook to her, and she saw the notebook. Her whole mouth just went. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go. I could just see the look on her face. She just felt so embarrassed. And she shut her mouth. She didn't say anything after that. Like, she knew. Now she knew why people were saying, those things about her. And it was just going around. People were not being super nice to her. But I told people, like, hey, it's not a big deal. You guys do not need to be mean to her. It's okay. And she ended up leaving me a note in my bag, and it had like a long paper. It was like a whole apology, and she literally like was like, I'm so sorry, I feel like a terrible person, you don't deserve this and this and that, like you are just a wonderful human being, like I don't even know why I was thinking about that in the first place. I'm not gonna try to go to prom with him. I actually feel just so ashamed of my behavior. And yeah, so that's kind of my first story. Is yeah, it kind of like was karma, because I didn't have to do anything. Like I didn't go searching out for that notebook. I didn't tell anybody to, you know, stick up for me or say things to her. Like I didn't want anybody. I just left it alone. It kind of just unfolded itself. And that's when I knew karma had my back in that moment. And she was caught red-handed. It didn't even last very long before she got caught, okay? Because that notebook was found immediately after she did that. Yeah, she made a lot of enemies in that moment, but of course after that she laid low. Like she never tried to get at my man at the time. She didn't try to do any of that. She was really sweet to me for the rest of the year. So I mean, it worked out. Her and I are cool to this day, so no hard feelings there. But just remember, you don't have to do anything. You need to go out and start a fight with them. You can be mature about it, because something will always find its way out and through that. And if you are constantly being a good person, like on my time, like I was kind to everybody there, and I had such good friends who knew my heart and knew how I was, knew I would not ever confront her about it, and that's why they did that for me. And when you put that kind of energy out, the energy will always work in your favor, always. So remember that. Continue on my story to the part 2 of my karma story, or how karma has my back. Moving on, I don't even know where I'm at. I'm looking for my powder brush, guys, and I lost her. Oh, nope, found it. It broke in half. You see that? Continuing on with my, this part has to do more with my ex now, Mr. Beluga. So Mr. Beluga and I ended up going to prom together, blah, 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 blah. He graduated, and we were still dating, me going into my senior year. I think it was towards the end of the year where we were doing okay. We were fine. He was honestly not a good guy during my relationship, but I just, you know, I didn't really know what to compare him to. So I didn't know if he was being a good boyfriend or not. Like, I think we were fine. I thought we were fine, at least. He would just be very wishy-washy as per usual. Here's where, you know, things get a little messy, okay? But first, I need to focus on my brows. So I got my brows tatted, you know, like, so I didn't have to fill them in every day. But now this new higher raised, straighter brow look came out, and now I actually like my face so much better when my brows are straighter. So because I'm always drawing on like a new tail. So you have 2 tails now. I'm gonna just use concealer and just cover that up. Okay, continuing with my story. Oh, mind you, he lived right around the corner from me. I literally walked to his house, and we would just walk to each other's houses all the time. And I think I just got my license then, so I would just drive to his house, which was like a 30-second drive away, because my street was right here. You just went around, and his house is right here. So we were pretty much neighbors. I remember his best friend always used to throw these house parties, right? These really big house parties. His parents were so cool. The person who would throw the party, they would just be like, oh, like, as long as you guys are all staying here tonight, no one's driving, I don't care. They were really chill. We all were planning to go and have a good time. It was for New Year's, so it was a New Year's party. A day before the party, I start coming down with a freaking high fever. My temperature is like 103 or something like that. Ridiculous. I was bedridden. I could not get out of bed. I was stuck in my bed. I'm pretty sure I was home alone. My parents had left me to go somewhere for New Year's, like with family. I was just stuck home alone on New Year's in bed, had body chills, and I remember texting him and being like, I am super sick. There's no way I can go to the party. You're just gonna have to go without me. And he was like, oh, but I'm gonna miss you. Like, it's not gonna be fun without you. Blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, no, babe, go ahead and just go. Have fun without me. I don't want to be the person keeping you back and hold you back from going to this party. I know how much fun it is for you. And he was like, yeah, you're right. I should go to this party. Now look back, it just sounds so stupid. He was like, but, you know, I'll be thinking about you the whole entire time. I was just like, okay, have fun without me. And I remember taking a bunch of NyQuil and passing the F out. I wake up the next morning around 7 o'clock in the morning. I check my phone, and one of my guy friends had texted me and messaged me and was like, hey, are you and Beluga still together? And I was just like, yeah, why? And then he sends me a picture of freaking him laying next to some girl on the floor. When I say I was livid, I was livid. I was so upset at it. I could not believe what I was seeing. I was feeling rage. I was feeling hurt. I'm literally sick in bed. And he's over here laying next to some girl. I was just immediately like, oh my God. I just saw all red, okay? I get out of bed. I start freaking out. I get in my car, sick little me, got into my car and drove to his friend's house, which was only like 5 minutes from where we were living. And I drove to his best friend's house, right, where they had the party. I know, little crazy girl, the little crazy came out in me, okay? I freaked the F out. I had never experienced something like that before. I barge in, see him on the floor next to this girl, and I am in disbelief. I remember I am just like, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, Beluga, Beluga, you better wake up. And I was so pissed. I was infuriated, okay? He gets up, clearly drunk out of his mind. So drunk, belligerent, gets up, ignores me, walks to the bathroom, uses the bathroom. I'm literally standing out in the hallway like this, like, and I remember his friend, his best friend, and his girlfriend at the time comes out and was like, hey, like, what's going on? And I told them, and I was like, he cheated on me. He's laying next to some girl, blah, 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 blah. Couldn't come because I've been sick. And they're over here trying to convince me that nothing happened. And I was like, oh, sure, nothing happened. I know something happened. Like, I'm not stupid. He ends up just kind of like staring at me when he gets out of the bathroom, like, super drunk. And okay guys, do not do this, please do not do this, do not lay hands, okay? But I slapped him across the face and I turned around and I bolted out. Yeah, I know guys, I know, not a proud moment for me, but look at this. See, you can still see it. Sometimes I can cover it, sometimes I can't. Okay, I'm gonna just have to take some time to do this really quick. Hold on. Okay, so moving on with my story. So after I zoom out, I go straight home. I'm so sad. I'm feeling so hurt and I just don't know what to feel or what to think. And I definitely had never felt that kind of pain before. That was like the very first time I've ever really just felt so betrayed. I just had never known that I would ever be someone that their boyfriend would cheat on them. Like, I've always heard of it, but I've never thought that it would ever be me. And it was, and it ended up being me, which is a really sad thing to go through, especially at such a young age, because I definitely feel like situations like this do affect you later on in life, and it's really, really crappy, you know? I'm over here just at home feeling extremely sad about the situation. I don't hear anything from him for most of the day. I'm assuming he was probably just really hungover and could not get his life together. The day after all of that, he ended up texting me a whole long apology, like, can we talk? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do anything, blah, 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 blah. Starting to say all these excuses. I love you. You are the one for me. Blah, 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 blah. We've all heard that before. Maybe not all of us, but if you have, you know. So I'm over here just like, what do I do? Should I believe him? Should I not believe him? I even talked to the guy who sent me that picture and I was just like, look, did you see anything happen? And he was like, yeah, well, they were under the blankets all night and like I heard like moaning and just... I'm not gonna get into that detail, but yeah, that's as much as you need to hear. Yeah, obviously something went down between those two. It does not take a freaking rocket scientist to figure that out. I was just so loyal to him to that part. Like, I had never thought of another guy. I never talked to other guys. Like, even when other guys would try to talk to me, I was just very, very loyal to him. So after a few days come by, I agree to speak to him in person, and we sit down, we talk, and just begs for me back, tells me everything I want to hear. Of course, naive little me was like, you know, okay, I'll forgive him. his best friend swore nothing happened when I talked to his best friend about it. Why I believed him? Of course his best friend is going to lie for him. I know any of us would lie for our best friends, and his best friend absolutely lied for him. That's some BS, first and foremost. And why I believed his best friend, I don't know. So after that, we decided that we were going to stay together. I know. I took him back. We were okay for a few weeks. He was actually during this time getting ready to go into the military. He was going into the Navy. After he had been getting ready to go to the Navy, I think his date, he finally got the date for when he's starting boot camp. And I think he was going to start boot camp in like March. And then that whole thing happened in like New Year's. So I think we were in February now. So we were in February. He's getting ready to go. And I'm over here getting ready to be a military girlfriend. I'm over here thinking like, oh, we're gonna have a long distance relationship. I can do it. I'm loyal. Like, I believe in us. Blah, blah, blah. Young little girl had no idea about life. We are just, you know, hanging out and all of this. Obviously, I'm still kind of recovering from what happened. Our relationship was not quite perfect at that time. Like a month later, he and I had plans to do stuff, and I kept asking him like, hey, when are we gonna do this and this? And he would kind of be like, I don't know, and just like not paying attention to it or paying attention to us, really. I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. I just like let him do whatever he wanted, which really is just so stupid. I was such a cool girlfriend. I just let him do him. I don't know. I just left him alone when he wanted to be left alone. That ain't the case now, that's for sure. So after being together for a little bit, I remember he messages me one random day. Mind you, I'm still in my senior year of high school, and I, you know, have school and everything, and I was already back from winter break. He reaches out to me and he says, hey, look, Quinn, I need to talk to you. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what's up? So he comes over and he's standing outside. I was like, do you want to come in? And he was just like, no, I'm gonna stay outside. And just like immediately my stomach just dropped. I just felt like a really bad feeling in my stomach. I just had a feeling that this conversation was not going to be a good one. So he begins to say like, no, I don't think this is working, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm going to be in the military. I don't want to be tied down to a girl. Like, I want to be able to have fun and do whatever I want to do. In a nutshell, he tried to say that, but in like a nice way. In other words, he wanted to hoe around and not have to worry about cheating on me. At least he was honest about that. But I'm over here in huge disbelief because I could have already just not been in a relationship with this person after he had just cheated on me. And yet he has the audacity to beg for me back and then break up with me a month later. In what world is that okay? He breaks up with me again, probably for the 6th time in that relationship, and it's like, you know, this isn't working. I want to be able to hoe around in the military. So yeah, goodbye. This is the end of us. Me being shocked, her already been through the ringer, was like, no, we're making this work. I took you back. And of course I pull like, I thought you loved me and I thought you cared about me. And I just start ugly crying, okay, you guys, begging for him not to leave me. I know, never will I do that again, ever. That was the one and only time you'll ever see me begging for a man. After that, I learned my lesson. I had no desire to beg for a man again after that in my life. Like, there was no way. There's no way. He literally was just like, no, this is goodbye. I felt like the more I begged, the more he pushed me away, and the more I cried for him to stay with me, the more he pulled me away and pushed me away, and he was just like, not. I think he was over it. In that point, I'm just felt so betrayed all over again. Here you are begging for me back after you cheat on me, and I take you back only for you to break up with me and break my heart into a million pieces. Yeah, again. He was so cold towards me. He was just like, you need to go. No, you're not my person. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just over here ugly crying. How could you? Please, I thought we were gonna be together. Blah, 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 blah. Ladies, listen to me. Do not ever cry and beg for a man. Ever. If they want to leave you, let them. Let them leave you. So after all of that, I finally took my loss. I went back inside, cried for a month, cried to my friends. My poor friends had to hear me crying every single day. I was so heartbroken. That was probably the worst heartbreak I had ever been through. And I've been through some heartbreaks, okay? But that was the worst one. The first one, in my opinion, from experience, is the worst heartbreak ever. I was put through it. Like, I did not want to eat. I didn't want to sleep. Like, I just cried myself to sleep every single night during my senior year. Okay, my camera's gonna die. Give me 1 second. Okay, and we're back on. Okay, so I was just in a really bad state of my life. I just really thought I could not make it through with the stabbing pain in my heart. Eventually, I was getting better slowly every month. It did take a long process. I think he had gone away finally to his boot camp, or whatever it's called when you first go into the military, aka basic training. So he had already gone to basic training. I was just moving on with my life. I think we broke up in February and it had been March. Slowly after a month, I think I finally started becoming more normal. I was being more positive. I just spent a lot of time with friends, and I was just, enjoying my single time. And I'm not gonna lie, this half of my senior year was lit. After we had broken up and after I got through the whole heartbreak period, even though it did take me a few months to actually get over him, but like once I was like not crying anymore and I just started to live out the last few months of being a senior, I had the best time of my life. Let me just say, I was happy all the time. I had no problems. Like, everybody who found out I was single were trying to holler, and I was like, no, we're not going through that again. It was just a poppin' time for me. And I remember that year, I think I attended 4 different proms that year. Yeah, I know. I attended my senior prom, my best friend's senior prom, and then I also attended my other friends. He invited me to his senior prom, and then I attended 3 proms that year. It was 3, not 4. But it was just a good time. I was vibing. I was happy. And you know what? The thing about me at that time was I was just so energetically positive in that time of my life. No matter what I was going through, I was just always very positive and innocent. I actually wished him luck, and I wished him happiness during all of that. I had no hatred towards this man. I was like, it is what it is. I wasn't meant to be with him. I'm happy. I wish him the best. And once I started to feel that, I just felt a sense of peace in my life. I had never felt more at peace with something. And of course, sometimes I would get sad when I would hear about him, but I would quickly get over it. Like, it was just not a big deal to me anymore. He was just no longer part of my life, and it just became the norm. I just had so many amazing friends during that period of my life that I didn't even realize that he was gone anymore. It was until, of course, anytime a girl finds peace, it gets threatened by no peace. It gets threatened. Anytime a girl feels peace, it gets threatened by these men, I swear. And me just like being happy, I think it was like my last month of school, or like, because we graduated in June and it was like May, and I was in class and I heard people talking, and they're like, hey, did you hear about Beluga? My ears perked and I was just like looking over like, what? And then they were like talking to each other, and they were like, oh yeah, he didn't make it through basic training. This guy did not make it through basic training, from what I heard. And I actually felt sorry for him. I didn't even feel like, haha, he deserved it. I didn't feel any of that. This was a little bit after I had just found peace in my life, and I wished him success and happiness. Yeah, quickly found out he didn't make it through because he suffered from a medical condition that really just like went in the way of his training, of his basic training. So supposedly he got medically discharged in 2 weeks after being there. The tea. I was shocked. I had no idea that had happened. I honestly felt sorry for him. I really did. He did try to reach out to me right before graduation, before my graduation, and he messaged me and told me everything that happened. Apologized, told me he was embarrassed. That's why he didn't reach out to me sooner. He missed me and he had a lot of time to think, because I guess they had to put him in a discharge cabin where he spent the rest of basic training all by himself in solitary confinement. He thought of me, supposedly, in there while he was there, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just thought of you, and just, I made a mistake, and I was embarrassed. I didn't want to like say anything to you. Of course, me being the kind-hearted person I was, just like tried to understand him and feel for him. I was like, I did talk to him for a little bit, but there came a period where during us talking again, we didn't date or anything again, but we were talking for a little bit. We did see each other like a couple times, but I just, you know, when you just stop having those feelings for someone and they're just not there anymore because they had just done you so wrong already. That's kind of where I was. There was a point where I was like, you know, I'm really not feeling this. Then we talked for like a month and I broke things off with him. And he tried to guilt trip me into coming back with him, and I was just like, no. And I think it was a couple months later, I was dating somebody else at the time. I think it was a few months after that, he ended up reaching out to me, not knowing that I was dating someone new, and tried to give me like a whole sob story just so I could talk to him again and comfort him. And he was asking for help. I don't know, just all of this. And I knew it was a ploy to try to get me back, manipulate me to getting back with him. But I ended up messaging him back, and I was like, hey, you know what? I do wish you the best, and I'm sorry about whatever situation you're whatever situation you're going through. But I am really happy right now, and I hope and pray one day that you'll treat the next girl you're with much better than you treated me. And I left it at that, and we never spoke ever again after that. Yeah. Karma sure played its role. I didn't ask for it. I didn't wish it upon him. I didn't even say I hope something bad happens to him. I never, ever felt that way, but it just all worked out for me. When you have a good heart and you keep good energy, that energy will be protected at all costs. Just a caring energy that not even someone like him could break. Not to say that I didn't have any after effects in future relationships because of what I've went through with him. I did have a little bit of baggage from it, but I'm saying during that time when you are just focusing on the good and really putting an emphasis on being a good and loving person, good things will always come to you. And people who are hurt you, it's like a revolving, it's like you have this force field around you spinning like this. When you have good energy, it's just all good energy. So when someone with bad energy comes, it just bounces right back off and it shoots towards them. That's how I like to see it. And that can only happen when you do have good energy. When you are constantly wishing bad upon someone, that force field will slow down and stop and will be gone. So that way when someone wishes bad on you, it really does hit bad on you when you are thinking bad on someone else. So you guys are just constantly going to hit each other all the time. But when you contain good energy, you will not get hit by that negative energy and you'll be protected by it. Karma always knows what it's doing. It will always be there. And same goes for good karma, not just bad karma, because good karma goes around all the time. And I notice the more good I put out, the more I have just kinder people in my life, or just good things happening for me. When I'm energetically up, I just feel like I'm on top of the world. I am feeling just amazing. That's what I want you guys to learn today, is that when you just wish good upon others and you just have a good energy about you, that other people are constantly trying to hurt you, but you don't let them, and you just ignore them and you shut those kind of people out and you keep doing you, those people are going to have a taste of their own medicine, whether you wish that upon them or not. They're going to get dealt with. They're going to get taught their lesson. Everyone in life gets taught their lessons. That's my story for you today. Yeah, this is just like a super basic makeup look. I don't even think I finished it, but yeah. Like, this is just an everyday makeup look. If you want to like see it up close a little bit. Anywho, thank you guys so much for sitting through this whole story. I hope I was able to teach you guys a little message or not about karma and how it could be used. Just knowing that you should not need to have to go around and look for it. Never have to look for it. Just let it happen naturally, and it will, as long as you are just keeping your own frequencies going without worrying about the frequencies of others. It's also faith. Having faith that anything bad that anybody does to you, don't try to go back and get revenge. Revenge is never the answer. Karma is. Not to say I don't have my petty moments. I have had my petty moments, but you know, let's not put that energy out, because I think all of us have been a little bit petty in our lives. But as for my ex, honestly, wish him the best. I haven't heard anything from him. I have no desire to understand what's going on in his life. I do wish him the best. Wish him the best to all my exes out there. That's all you can do. Anywho, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please like that button and press the subscribe button. Also, leave a comment down below if you want more stories similar to this one, because your girl has lots of stories, let me tell you. And I can give you a little bit more karma stories as well, if that is something you're interested in. Oh my god, I just got glue all over me. Stop! Anywho, this is taking so long just to do a freaking outro, you guys. I can't believe it. I cannot right now. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. This is Big Daddy Quinn, and Big Daddy is out.